Hi, and welcome to Corner of Fifth Street Talk. My name is Arthur Zaczkiewicz. Street Talk is where we share insights about the fashion, apparel, retail, and beauty markets, along with the trends and technologies shaping business today, as well as answering a really important question. What does retail and fashion apparel mean to you? So today we have Dora Lau, who's the designer, president, and the CEO of Dora L International. Welcome. How are you?
Great. Arthur, thank you for inviting me on this very, very special day. And I'm honored to be part of your guest on your program. So thank you so much for the
It's a
invitation.
pleasure to have you here. So tell us a bit. Let's start by if you could tell us a bit about your brand and your target customer.
So basically, my company is a one-stop shopping. We have a team of experts that goes anywhere from, scouting out the trend, what's happening technology, and then we present our customers. And we do a lot of product development in which we present to certain customers we feel they would benefit on the space of the white space in the store. And from there on, whatever the customer pick, we make sure work on the fit of the garment to the size specs of the consumer, and then find factories to do production. And we also teach the factory to work on, we work on a launch could be anywhere from 50,000 to 200,000 units. And then from there on, we also have staff in the factory to do QA and QC, quality assurance and quality control, and deliver the goods to a dock, and our work is done.
And what is your
So
distribution channel and some of your retail partners?
we actually distribute to where customer distribute, so mostly in America. So work with a lot of specialty stores that based on whether it is like for junior customers or maternity bras as well for plus size.
Excellent, excellent. You know, when we talk about customers and consumers today, I mean, everything has changed, right? Since I first
Hmm.
started in this industry 30 years ago, right? Covering it. But what do you think? What do shoppers expect in a fashion apparel shopping experience? Like, what is there? You mentioned fit is important, right? Part of the equation. But what else?
Well, I think that I always study our customers, the consumer, and what their lifestyle's like. So for all of us, always watching for our budget, right? So what gives them a reason to buy something that will benefit in the lifestyle?
What is? Yeah,
Mhm.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So when we have a new customer or existing customer, we always check on the how life changes during COVID when everybody's not even wearing a bra, right? Nobody goes to work. Our comfort becomes such a big trend with support, right? So from there on, our team start diversifying to our product selection, fabric selection, and redesigning bras that they feel comfortable, but also with the benefits of giving her a natural lift so that, when she go to supermarket or she wears it in her house, she really fit very comfortable and also have a great foundation without sacrificing fit and comfort.
What about the plus size business? It seems to me that it's often been ignored. Of course,
Well, it's really interesting because I was a chubby girl growing up
you were.
in Hong Kong. Right, so I always have a hard time, getting finding clothes I like, or so I start buying a fabric and start designing clothes, and then have a dressmaker make it for me, right? Because we also deserve. That's why it's so underserved, myself and as well as the customers, because over 60% of Americans are bigger ladies, right? So whether they're big in size, big in frame, or whether they have, they're lucky to have bigger breasts, right? So sometimes the breast could be easy like 20 pounds or 30 pounds. To carry that all along, imagine what it does to your core frames. So when we study, a plus size, we always see There's all different forms and shapes, and how we can design a bra with technical area where we can fit a span size or a cup size to the benefits and to the aspects where she felt she's shown off the best of her body and be proud of it.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. It plays right into one's own self-esteem, right?
Right. We always say that confidence is the sexiest thing a woman can wear.
I like that. That's great. It's so true. From from a sourcing perspective, how are you navigating all this crazy stuff going on? The tariffs that are happening.
Oh my
Is it
God.
harder? Like, how do you do that?
Well, we have been the forefront of innovation, but when the tariff brought in, a lot of consumers think that the tariff is paid by the country,
Right? It's
but
not true.
that's not correct. The tariff is paid by the importers, which is the stores, and the small stores, the big stores. So that would eat into their profit margin, right? So when the tariff hit, a customer is not interested in making new products anymore. All they say, Dora, can you take 10%
Yeah,
off?
right.
Can you take 15% off? Right? So we're always trying to not to compromise. We're always trying not to compromise the function and the aesthetic of the bra, and still be able to give her that support was the original price.
What So tell me a little bit about growing up in Hong Kong. Right? You said you grew up in Hong Kong. What was that like? And how did you end up in fashion? Like, what inspired you to become a designer?
Well, it's really I had so much fun growing in Hong Kong. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful city. So I was very fortunate because and blessed because both my parents self-financed entrepreneur. My mother was a singer. My father was a musician.
Interesting.
So my father met my mother when he taught her how to sing.
But I mean, those are very creative.
Right,
Like,
very creative profession.
so I could see you living in a creative household.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting because my father had opportunity of being a recording engineer by a businessman from San Francisco. So he hired my father to do recording for him, and he has no idea how to do how to monitor a recording machine by all means. So he taught everything himself. He got an unpacks machine, 2-track, and then he started playing around with it. And then he hired artists to do Chinese opera. So my parents started with Chinese opera, and my mother is a very creative woman. She always had great sense of business. So the two of them partnered together and started creating one of the oldest, the first local owned Chinese opera company in Hong Kong.
So how did you end up? Well, what happened after you?
So I always am very grateful for all my parents have done for me. So even at the age of 9 years old, I started helping them whatever way I can. I would translate the magazines for my dad. My dad doesn't read English. So I would translate for him. I would write letters for him. And as we started having artists, so I started dressing the artists because I make clothes myself.
Okay.
And we would shop for the costume, concert costume in Paris, different parts of Europe. But while I was shopping, I realized that, whatever the garment is, but without the foundation that's underneath the garment, you not show the best attribute of the body. So therefore, that's when bustier, corsets come in. And so I start, learning about dressing our artists. And from there on, then I actually went to America for college. And then I studied quantitative systems analysis, which is a bachelor of science degree. And when I wanted to go on and I really want to be a lawyer, and then my mom is the boss in the family, say, well, no lawyers in the family, so you go study fashion design. Because she knows me better than I do, right? Because I used to dress up all the artists. And then that's when I got into the FIDM, FIDM in Los Angeles and went to school there. My debut show was evening wear, which is very similar to what I learned from our artists.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's how I got started in the fashion business.
So as an entrepreneur, what is the one thing you do over and over again that you would recommend everybody else do?
Well, what I really did is to start small. Even though you think, hey, I need a answering girl, I need a secretary, I need to get pattern maker. I think that once you hire somebody, you're responsible for the livelihood. So I always start small. I started as a one-man band for about a year, and as I required to, then I bring in somebody in to help with the business. And then as I grow, so now we have over 60 employees. And being in Hong Kong, so my staff or my team workers, we're not based in the same place. So we spread out to different parts of the country. Our designers, we have a design studio in Elliott, Maine, because my designers live there. And then we have a very strong office in Hong Kong. That's where they do all the sourcing, the technical part, and monitoring factories in production and on-time delivery. And the head of our technical is based in Sydney, Australia. And then during COVID, she moved home. She's British. And then now she comes to Hong Kong every quarter to work with our team.
What is the kind of like one strategy that's really helped you consistently grow your business?
I think you always have to look ahead. You have to be prepared. So the business is not present or past. Your business is future. So my two things that I've learned in life is, number one, make sure your cash flow is fluid. Make sure you're getting the orders you need to keep afloat, right? And then the other part is making sure whatever orders you got, you need to make sure they ship out immaculately on time, and the quality is nothing more than I am proud of.
It's your reputation's on the line, right? If it doesn't.
Totally, right? It doesn't matter if I make money, lose money. The most important thing is keeping intact, intact reputation.
So how would you describe your leadership style?
Well, I have to say that I have employees from 30 years to everybody is over 10 years, all my employees, right? So when, I think the most important thing is the culture of the company. We all do the same way. We all work as a team, and everybody make mistakes. And when mistakes are done, we kind of study why we do it, so everybody would understand how we cannot redo it again, right? So everybody's important. I even tell the lady who cleans our toilet. We tell her she's very important because without her, we won't have a clean environment.
Yeah, it could ruin your day, right?
Right. So that's why I think if people are treated with respect, with appreciation, then they even work twice as hard.
And you're,
Right.
you're right. And they, like you said, they become loyal to you, right?
Totally. When I and every time I'm in Hong Kong, we all go for a nice meal. Everybody is happy. Even when I go to a factory, I look at the sewers. If they're happy, then you're gonna have happy garments.
That's so true. There's a little restaurant near where I live, and it says their food they're vegan, and they say that
Right.
their food is made with love, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes a difference. It tastes better.
Right. Like our garments made with love, right? And every step of the way is a crucial step to get the finished garment immaculate.
What is you mentioned before about making mistakes. Was there one failure that's notable, maybe early on in your career as an entrepreneur? And what was it? And how did you overcome it?
Well, what happened when I got fashion school, like I said, my debut show was evening wear. So I love evening wear. So my first evening line was a plus size evening wear. So, but my price point was so high. I have a rep in New York that really was supportive. So my first line, I didn't sell one garment because it's way too expensive. right? So I just jump into it without really understanding what the margins are, what the markets are, and what the price point that the consumer can afford. So my first line was a total failure. It was way overpriced. So then I started again from scratch. So that cost my parents money, of course.
Is there one business idea that you have that you're willing to share with our listeners?
Well, I really think the future is all about innovation. I really believe in the future garments don't even need sewing.
Oh,
They
interesting.
can be bound together. Everything can, well, I hate to talk about AI, but the thing is a lot of robotics is involved in like, like ready to wear apparel because it's two-dimensional, right? So everything is a flat pattern. And then as you go through the conveyor, every part of the conveyor can seam the glue between fabric
Hmm?
so that your shoulder seam could be glued together. And they have also raw cut fabric. So basically, you don't even have to bind the edges of the bottom of your shirt or your cuffs. So that's really the future that we'll see coming.
I people say that there's innovation, that's what they're doing, but it's very, very challenging to actually implement. But it makes a difference. It's how you differentiate your product in the market, right?
Oh, totally. I think that but I think the timing is crucial because a lot of time, these garments can show up before people can understand what's happening. So as AI affects our daily life, I think but I also believe that every garment have a reason to exist. So like I always look at technology on what's out there in fabrication, right? The cooling yarn and the yarns that, and the cooling yarns and yarns that make you perspire. We have yarn, the weight of knitting, in which it is turbo dry. The turbo dry evaporates the fabric from the moisture from the skin and evaporates out to the other side of the fabric. Like for somebody who is in sports, who is in active wear, that's a big plus. So these new fabrication, new yarn, new technology can help the consumer by showing the aspects and what it benefits from her wearing the garment.
When we speak of innovation, I think you mentioned that's like moisture wicking, correct?
Yeah, it's more than moisture wicking because if you can see like a drop of liquid that goes on fabric, it gets all wet and the wetness get transferred to the other side of fabric.
Um, Here's the big question: what does fashion apparel and retail couture mean to you, like on a personal level?
I love fashion.
Yeah.
I love it, but unfortunately, there's a lot of fashion that are not wearable. When a designer design clothes, to me, I think the most you have to think about who's going to buy your garment and what age group they are. So if I personally think the baby boomers are the best target. The baby boomers are the best target, and so is the Gen Z,
So,
right?
I mean, it sounds like you probably have a range of customers in age, right? You go across board.
Yes, yes. Yes, I do. We go from teenagers all the way up to, post-retirement age.
Last question: what advice, if you could go back in time to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself?
I would tell myself, don't spend money like water, right? So when I was younger, I had the resource. So if I like something, I'll buy it, even though it is a fashion piece or something like I designed my first line, right? I love the fabric, even though it's $40 a yard. I'll get it done. So just don't go by your instinct or go by what you love, but really go by, the economics of what can your customer afford, what would retail be, as sometimes retail is 4 times more than they buy the garment.
That's right. Well, that's wise advice. Be careful with your money.
Yeah, always. Don't spend eating big meals, right? Just always save, right? and always be prepared that in case you have good years and bad years. When you have bad years, you want 1 year I lost all my buyers.
Well,
And when
you
it changes,
recovered, right? I mean,
yeah, because we always have reserve.
yeah.
That's why you don't spend what you make. You have to reserve a certain percentage so that in bad times, that you're able to survive through. Like during COVID, all of us took a 20% reduce in pay, right? But so I have weekly meeting with my team to update them what's happening, what's going on, and how can we get through this, right? So as we got through it and we're able to survive, then I pay back all my employees the money that they have contributed during COVID.
That's very kind of you.
It's got to be fair, right? Business is fair.
I can see why people like working for you, for sure.
You have to treat people like you treat yourself.
Well, we're out of
The-
time. It was a pleasure talking with you today. We're going to have you back on the show again at some point.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
And thank you
It's
for
an
tuning
honor.
in to
Okay.
Talk. Thanks.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Have a great year.
Take care.